Good evening and welcome to Let's Talk Shop with Russ. Hope you guys out there are anticipating a good time tonight, because I know I have. I think we got this crazy guy here on the show by the name of a Lutes. We always wanting to. I forgot to turn the volume down on the other computer. Usually I keep it, but I had to change computers on me. The other computer that I was using is a Toshiba, and the battery's going bad, so it kept on wanting to lock up. Even if I pull the battery, I don't know. I guess it has to have a battery in it, so that one usually stays muted. But anyway, we got this crazy guy on here, and we're going to figure out what the heck a Lutes is. At least we're going to try to figure out what a Lutes is. I've been wanting to try to get him on the show for quite some time, and finally it worked out where he could be here, so I'm really happy about that and glad. And he's got a lot of followers, and I know he does a lot of different things in his woodworking, so we'll talk about that and get to him in just a few minutes. Let's see. I've got my announcement is the Scroll Saw Artist Challenge is going on now between October 1st and October 31st. The other night on Twitch I said August, and I'm like, wow, really? So, but no, it's October 1st through October 31st. We got some really great sponsors and some great prizes. If you want to find out how to enter and what to do, go to simplywoodencreations.com. Overall, follow the bar over to challenges, drop down to 2017 Scroll Saw Artist Challenge, and all the information is right there. So really great stuff going on there. I guess that's about all. Oh, and I haven't been advertising it on here. For some reason, I keep forgetting, but Wednesday nights at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on Twitch TV, on Simply Wooden Creations on Twitch TV, I do scroll saw stuff. Now, we've been talking about all the different stuff about blade sizes, how to attach a pattern. We do scrolling and some different stuff like that. But it's every Wednesday night on Twitch TV, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's Simply Wooden Creations over there. Everything's Simply Wooden Creations, so it's over there also. We have a really great time. Have a lot of people. I'm using it more or less, Twitch TV, as a scroll saw class to teach people and answer questions. And it's working out really, really, really great. I've got a lot of viewers, a lot of people watch me, and a lot of people have sent me emails and thanking me and everything. And I really appreciate all y'all guys out there watching me, like watching me tonight. So I appreciate y'all very much. All right, the only thing I got left to do is my sponsors, which are Devobal Technologies for web design, development, and hosting. Visit devobal.com. They do my website and some of the other people here websites also. And then FastCap, innovative products for the professional woodworker. Go to fastcap.com. Also Rockler, 60 years of woodworking. Create the confidence with Rockler. Go visit rockler.com. And last but not least, Bearwood Supply Company. Your best choice for hard-to-find woodworking supplies, go to bearwood.com. They are also the main sponsor for the Scroll Saw Artist Challenge. And if you go over there and get the coupon code over on the Scroll Saw Artist Challenge page and use it there, you can order your clock part. I'll get it out in a second. Clock parts and your scroll saw blades, your Pega scroll saw blades from them, and you get 10% off on your order. So a lot of good things there. All right, so Bill, I'm going to let you introduce yourself last, and we'll start down and start from my left. And it is Mr. Al Forte. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everybody where we can find you.
Hey, folks. This is Al Forte from Al Forte's Odessa Woodworking and Maker Shop. Just for fun, I can be found on YouTube and on Facebook at Odessa Woodworking. Anyway, thanks for having me here. It's just for fun.
Thank you for being here, Al. And next is Mr. Chris Ahern.
Hey, gang, Chris here at the Old Cranky Workshop. That's the mess behind me right now. You can find me over on Facebook and on YouTube under the Old Cranky Workshop. If you don't find me there, check out the local blogs. But if you find me there, you'll buy them. That's it.
Cool. And then Mr. Rob Austin.
You know, you always say you start from one side to the other, and I'm on a complete opposite side, and you skip everybody else and come back. So it must be in a different order up here than what you're putting it on there.
Yeah, it's actually, I'm going by my order, so everybody's order is a little bit different.
Yeah, well, No problem. My name is Rob Austin. I'm with GwinnettWoodworkers.com. I don't have a YouTube channel. You can find me, right here. And my shop is called Daycare for Adults.
Yep. He's got an awesome shop too, guys. If you've never been there, it is awesome.
Just come visit.
Sure. Hey, I'd love to. And then Matt Haas from Awesome Wood Things.
Hi, everyone. Again, Awesome Wood Things. I have a second channel, Awesome Fun Things, where I shoot fun things I do outside the shop. And my title is Amateur Fun Haver. That's what I'm going with. It's good to be on the show.
I like that, Amateur Fun Haver. And then next is Paul Corliss.
Hi, I'm Paul Corliss from Paul's Messy Workshop. That's Paul's Messy Workshop on YouTube, Paul's Messy Workshop on Instagram, paulsmessyworkshop.com, and Paul's Messy Workshop wherever I am. And thanks for having me on, Russ.
You're welcome. If you clean that darn workshop, you wouldn't be called Paul's Messy Workshop anymore.
There's not enough hours in a day.
And then my good friend, Mr. Russ Meadows.
Hi guys, Russ Meadows here from the Rusty Nails Wood Shop. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or looking for Chris Ahern to give him a crying towel for his baseball season is over. I'll buy him a beer.
Yeah. I know you haven't been able to be on a little while because of the house situation. So how's that go? For those of you who don't know, you got some damage from Hurricane Harvey, right?
Harvey, yeah.
So how's that going?
Oh, jeez, man. I've finally got the supposedly sheetrock guys coming to give me a quote so I can send to the insurance, and then I'm probably going to kick them out and do it myself. haven't got to that point yet, but I got to see what they're going to say.
Right.
It's a process.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, I know. I have my friend that his house got totally flooded. Ooh. 3+ foot of water. I mean,
Lord.
And they've had the whole house is gutted. They lost 80% of their furniture. So I've got
coworkers in that same way that they got 5 and 6 and 7 feet of water in their homes. They lost it all. So yeah. I didn't fare as bad as them, but it's bad enough.
Yeah. All right. Next is Mr. Sterling Davis. How are you?
Sterling Davis. You can find me on YouTube at Sterling Davis. You can find me on the Instagrams and the Twitters as Sterling Davis, and on Facebook as Sterling's Woodcrafts. That's me. I just want to get into the Lutes.
Yeah, I was almost tempted to kick Sterling off the show before it even started. Him and Bill were smooching on the camera back and forth, and I'm like, geez, guys, get a room. And I never will forget. I want to bring this up real quick before we go on, though. Remember one time when I had you on the show when I first met you, Sterling, and I called you, what was it, Sterling Martin? Yeah, I call it, and here's Sterling Martin, and he goes, that's Sterling Davis, Russ.
Yep.
Okay.
The good old days.
Yeah, the good old days. And now to the man of the hour, and that's it. That's what I want to ask you. What's a Lutes? And you got it up there on your thing.
Well, I don't know quite exactly, but, my name is Bill Lutz, and I'm a professional dancer. I'm known on YouTube as Bill the Ballerina. You can find me usually out on the street just dancing. I'm a fan. It's a good way to stay in shape, and I'm glad you had me here, Russ.
No, I've been trying to get you on here for a while, like I said, so I'm glad to have you here.
Does he have video of him dancing? I'd like to see the video.
Or is he going to dance live for us tonight?
No,
Either or.
No,
I tell everybody honestly, if you want, because I'm honestly, I'm kind of a shy person, and it's hard for me to talk to people, especially when you have annoying people. Now, if somebody annoying is always asking you questions, you can make them easily stop if you answer an interpretive dance.
Okay. That being said, now I know that you. Oh, all right. Now, why is this doing this to me? I'm having to the print is so small over there. I've got to enlarge it over there so I can see the chat. But anyway, I know you do some woodworking, and I've seen some of your stuff. And I want to. You got a few projects you can show tonight, right?
Yeah. I got my biggest thing lately I've been doing is cigar box guitars.
And I'm glad you're going to show that, because that's what I was going to ask. But what got you into? I mean, okay, dancing, woodworking. Those are two very large end of the scales. What got you into woodworking?
Well, honestly, I think dancing and woodworking are identical. They're pretty much the same thing for me. But let's see, gosh, I guess the very first thing I ever did to make something was when I was like 6 years old. My cousin helped me make a little plaque for Mother's Day for my mom, where we cut out a piece of wood on the scroll saw, and we lacquered a picture of my pretty face on it. And then we burned the edges and put some shellac on it. And it was a lot of fun. Ever since then, I've been kind of hooked. So I've been a laborer, construction, a maintenance guy my whole life, and I just like to make stuff. And my name is not Bob Claggett.
That's good though. But you know, I come by it naturally myself, because my father was a carpenter, my grandfather was a carpenter, so it's kind of in line. Was any of your family?
Not really that I know of. I mean, I can remember as a kid tearing things apart to see how they work, and hooking up switches to turn on my TV and my room and my light, and starting fires and blowing out the old, I don't know if you guys remember the fuses back when they were little screw-in doohickeys that when they blow out, you just stick a penny in there. And,
oh yeah.
But yeah, so I really, I can't say there's anybody in my family that really was like a woodworker, but it's just something I've always done.
Then, okay, so how did you discover YouTube?
That was for mostly research. For my wife and some of her co-workers decided to open up their own hair salon, and circumstances brought it around where I had to build basically everything in it, all the furniture, all the fixtures. So just doing some research on different styles of how to make things online brought me to Tim Sway, and I started watching what he does, and I like the whole upcycle thing. And of course, I remember watching Mark Spagnolo from 100 years ago. So yeah, I just did some research on YouTube, and then I just really started following the woodworker community. Kind of branched out to me. It branched out to the maker community in general, and it's all melded into one big old umbrella of happiness now. So. But that's where the YouTube thing started, was just getting some ideas to build some furniture for my wife's salon.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very good. Anybody out there on the panel got anything they want to ask you?
I was just curious if Casey knew about your side hustle job you were talking about earlier.
No, she's actually. My wife is amazing. So she's taken some classes for accounting, and on top of owning a business, she wants to know how to do the books for the business. She doesn't like having to pay an accountant to do that. So she's taking classes at the junior college for that. She's a workout fanatic. So she joined the soccer team at this junior college in my town. She went to a class for soccer because she used to play when she was younger. So she's 35 years old. So 15 years ago is when she played. The soccer coach from the junior college saw her, and they recruited her to play on the team. So I do all of my dancing now when she's at away games.
That's probably for the better.
Yeah.
All right, Matt, I saw Matt had it unmuted. What do you want to ask him, Matt?
I just said that's probably for the better that he does it while she's out of the house.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, Al.
Do you make much doing it? Oops.
I do. I make a lot of friends. Of course, most of them are homeless, and that's okay. But no, it's more a labor of love.
So you get a lot of quarters then, is what you're saying, right?
There's an old joke. Let's see. How can I clean this up? Let's say people like they play instruments and stuff, and on the corn, busking, I think you call it, when you dancing, whatever, on the street performers. So I come home and say, honey, I made $25 today and 10 cents. She says, well, you did, that's great, who gave you the dime? I says, well, all of them.
I've heard that one. Yeah, I've heard that one before.
I cleaned it really up for you.
Yeah. We have CJ Phillipson out there, Tom Spillane, Jim Bashir's, Patrick's Workshop. Hey, Patrick, he's out there in the chat. Let's see who else we have out there. Bob Lee, how you doing, dude? He just had surgery, by the way, and I think he's back. Yeah, he's back home. So he must be feeling pretty good because he's out there in the chat. So that's pretty cool. So hi, Bob Lee.
Glad everything's working out good, Bob.
Yep. Trying to see who Ken Moon's out there, Moon Pie Creations. That guy's crazy.
He just had surgery too. His ankle.
Yeah, he had a surgery on his ankle, so he's doing a lot better. I'm glad to see him out and about. And then Dan Inge Woodworking. They're all out there. Anybody out there have any questions for Art Day just joined us. Brett Goodermote, he just joined us. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Lutz that's out there in the chat? I'll give him a few seconds. Anybody else want to?
And I'm not trying to steal your thunder on questions. But I would like to hear a little backstory as far as I know you're on a podcast with this crazy Canadian and this guy that invents tools that was also in a band. Did you know this other guy was in a band?
Yeah, I was gonna ask him about that yeah, you do you, Tim Sway, and who else? Y'all are in a podcast together, right?
Yeah, and Phil Pinsky. How these guys ended up asking me to be on their podcast, I don't know, but I'm glad they did. We do a reclaimed audio podcast, and it's kind of cool. It's three perspectives. Tim he's walking the walk and talking the talk. He eats grass and he recycles everything. He doesn't, he leaves the smallest footprint on the planet that he can. He's the real deal. Then you got Phil, who's using reclaimed materials. He works full time. He's a parent, and he's got an Etsy store, and he's trying to come up. But he's like a reclaimer, kind of just getting into it. And I've been scrounging stuff off the curbs for as long as I can remember, and I don't really do that for a living per se. So between the three of us to talk about reclaiming and upcycling and just trying to be a little bit better to the planet when we can and get all mushy and huggy and all that good stuff.
How long y'all been doing that podcast?
Oh, we just did our 100th episode 2 weeks ago. So yeah, a couple of years. Wow.
Yeah. And we're now it's Reclaimed Audio. And where can we find it? I'm
pretty sure you can find it at Reclaimed Audio.
Okay. That's your website.
Yeah, it's reclaimedaudiopodcast.com, I believe, is the website.
Okay, cool.
And yeah, it's on iTunes and all the other
that's where I found it, was on iTunes when I was.
It's you can find it pretty much the same place you can get webcasts.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know how that magic works, but it does.
So we're getting into, they want us, you guess what they want to see. They want to see your cigar box of cigars. So they're asking, where did you learn to make it?
That was a fluke. It was just one YouTube video on my feed, how they pop up. You should watch this. And I'm like, that's cool. I've never had any musical. Well, let me take that back. The only thing that's ever really stopped me from a very prominent musical career was the total lack of any musical ability whatsoever. But yeah, I just came across this video of this guy playing this weird looking little guitar, and I watched it, and he was saying how you can make it. And then I started watching more videos on it. I'm like, I could actually do this. I mean, I really think I could teach myself how to play. And that's how it started. So I went and bought a couple cigar boxes and made one. And then people started sending me cigar boxes. And then I made some more. And then Casey wanted one because she can't actually play a real guitar. And I made her one. And it's gone from there. So, but.
Very cool.
This would be one right here. This in Atlanta, Russ, when I got to hug you personally.
Yep.
Nick Wiegand actually gave this particular cigar box to me. It's It's a real pretty piano finish looking thing.
Wow.
There we go.
That looks awesome.
Yeah, so he gave me a red one and this yellow one, and I made one for Casey, my wife, and then I made this one for myself. And it's addicting. I mean, I'm just a blessed person. Having the ability to actually try and learn how to make music, and it sounds like it. Like people walk by now when I'm out in the garage and come up and say, "Oh, what are you playing?" And I don't know how to deal with that, but it's fine.
The video you did and that you made for that from pallet wood, which by the way, I'm a little bit upset that you didn't enter the pallet upcycle challenge, but that's another conversation.
I knew that was coming.
The music that you played was by you, and it was phenomenal. You've done a great job on that. I really did enjoy that.
Oh, thank you, Sterling. It was kind of a last minute thing, and I got done editing the video of which I do very poorly. And it's like, it's 8-something minutes. I'm like, I wonder if I could just play stuff for 8 minutes and record it and put it on that video. And it did. And I was very surprised. Yeah.
Cool. I've had the opportunity, and I really enjoyed listening to it. I have to be honest with you. I am not a podcast kind of guy. I don't know. I've never really got into podcasts or whatever, but I have listened to a few of y'all's reclaimed audio, and I was I really enjoyed those. Also, Makers, what is it? Makers International.
Makers International.
Yeah, I've listened to a few of theirs too, and really enjoyed listening to them also. So those guys are nuts over there too, and Makers International.
Russ, can I recommend a reclaimed audio podcast episode for you?
Sure.
It's the one where they were talking about the definitions of reclaimed, recycle, upcycle, and then Lutz just went on a tear. He was like, wait. Do you remember this, Bill? He's like, wait. If it came from a tree, it's automatically reclaimed because the tree had it first. It just took the conversation on a Lutz path, for lack of a better word. And that was one of my favorite reclaimed audio podcast
I'll have to go listen to that one. I don't understand. I mean, it's nothing against podcasts. Don't get me wrong. It's just I just never find the time to listen to them, and I guess most of the ones that I have listened to have been boring, over the years. I didn't say y'all's was boring. Now I just said that some.
I can promise you, the last thing, we might not be informative, we might not be intelligent, but we're not boring.
They're sure not boring.
Yeah,
I enjoy them.
Jed Man, I'm gonna butcher. I am the world's worst for people's names. Trust me, Jeff.
Manier.
There you go. Thank you. Or Jed Manier. Man, I got to get glasses. Jed Manier. He wants. Do you make do you make any other recycled instruments?
Not as of yet, because I mean, this is very, very recent for me. This is just the last few months I figured out that I'm in love with this. But there's some other stuff I want to try. I'd like to do I want to make a bass for my pod mate Tim Sway, because he's did you know he used to be a musician? Yeah, so he's been playing bass for 100 years, and so I want to try and make a bass and a lap steel guitar. That could be fun. Maybe that'll be my next 2x4 entry challenge, since I just got yelled at. Maybe I'll try and make a lap steel guitar out of a 2x4 or something.
If you got a hammer, you can make a steel drum.
A steel drum, yes.
Jim Bashir says, I put 45,000 miles a year on a car, so I live with podcasts. Yeah, I guess you do.
Honestly, up until I was on one, I didn't really know what they were. And it's basically my version of it is it's a radio show. I used to listen to them on my back and forth to work as well. So it's just the new version of the talk radio. Yeah, you're right. It's like talk radio. They want us. You got any more of your cigar? They want to see more. Oh, well, I have two out here. I have this other one. A young fellow by the name of Keith Decent sent me a license plate, and sure enough, you can make guitars out of license plates too. And
yeah, I watched that video. That is awesome.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun to make. So this one I actually did fretted, and I don't know how the heck to fret things, but it still sounds pretty neat. It's
It actually does sound good.
it blows me away, the kind of music. I'll be sitting here in 5 minutes and I'll learn something. I'll watch the video and I can't believe what I'm hearing coming from my fingers in this thing that I hammered together. It's it's like an upcycle project, but this one was a lot of fun. Thank you, Keith. I have another license plate. I won't say where I got it or how. Well, I do. I have a couple of license plates. I want to make another one. Another young man sent me one from a Texas tow truck one, but I have a California exempt license plate that I don't think I'm supposed to have, but I got one. So it's gonna. I think as long as I don't put it on my car and I make a guitar out of it, I should be okay.
Yeah, that's like those signs that are like triangles and octagons and stuff that says, like YEILD and STOP that you're not supposed to have. But
yeah,
a lot of people have them in their garages. You wouldn't want to play anything, would you?
Oh man, so, real fast, because this is all I really know.
Free bird.
Yeah.
I want to hear dueling banjos. They've been talking about banjos over there. I think
everybody's been saying play dueling banjos.
Banjo.
I want to learn how to play that. I really do. Except I'm tossed between. If I learned how to play that, am I going to have nightmares about the movie Deliverance?
Right?
That I don't know. Let's see.
You sure have a pretty mouth.
Sterling, I'm going to think of myself more as the Burt Reynolds character.
There you go. Wow.
That's it. That's all you get.
Not bad for free.
Not bad at all. Yeah, it's super addicting. It's super addicting.
Katie Dotson wants to hear "Stairway to Heaven."
Another one I want to learn. I really do. And you can pretty much find a video of someone willing to teach you on YouTube for everything on a 3-string guitar.
Wow.
Yep, we've got Brett Goodermoach still out there. Guys, if you have questions, let me do. Jim Bashirs wants you to do Foggy Mountain Breakdown.
Oh, Lord.
Tell him I am not that old yet. I have no idea what he just said.
When you started this thing out, you were just kind of a nonchalant in the community. You're really kind of like a pillar of the community. You really are. But starting out, you wasn't that in depth. But now you're starting to get more involved when it comes to the video side of it and the production side of it. And where are you headed? Where do you see yourself going?
Well, I just on my last video, you're like the Segway King, by the way. I love you. Just, for the first time on my last video, I actually said, if you like my video, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment. I've got a few more years left until I can retire and take a pension. And I'd like to turn the podcast and the YouTube and the making of things and turn that into a little bit of extra income to help the retirement and get the heck out of Dodge or California and be able to supplement that. And between that and an amazing, talented, one of the smartest people I know that happened to decide she wanted to marry me, I think the two of us can make a pretty good life. So that's what it's all about for me. I started just being really loud, liking everybody and just falling in love with this community. And it seemed like it was too quiet. And I think I was loud from the beginning, and just the more I talked and just appreciated everybody and mentally gave people hugs, and just everybody started joining in on that, and it was really fun. So I'm certainly wasn't the first, and I won't be the last, but I think I made enough noise to get other people excited to make noise. And this community just all of a sudden, for me anyway, I've never traveled in my life until this community, where I've now been to Boston and Atlanta and Chicago. Seriously, never really traveled in my life at all until that. Just hosting people at my house for Makers Fair, getting to know, all of you guys. I mean, on this show, I've met, let's see, one hug, Yeah, so I mean, at least 50% of you have been gracious enough to give me a hug. Russ is a little handsy. Russ Clarity, I'm just going to say. It's all right.
Yeah, I can be that way. That's okay. Yeah, that's kind of like, you know, I started out the same way. As far as I seen some people doing woodworking on, and I said, hey, if they can do it, I can do it. So I started out a YouTube channel, and you know, man, when I look back at some of my first videos, I sit there and laugh because they're like so terrible. How do you feel about when you first started your channel? How do you feel about the way it took off? Or
well, I can be honest and say that I think my last video is a little tiny bit better than my first one, and I'm not exaggerating. Yeah, the technology side of it for me is, you know, of course, who doesn't know Jimmy DiResta and the whole fast forward thing, and not having to do. I don't feel like I'm a teacher. I don't know that. Maybe I can give you a tip or a trick or something like that. I've been using my hands to make a living for my entire life. But I think if I can make something cool, something fun, and maybe be a little bit funny in my video, that's all you get from me. I'm not going to have the kind of production quality that some of these guys have. I can't tell a story like, you know, David Welder, if you know who he is. This guy puts like images of squirrels running across the New York Tower or something. I mean, it's just weird. They're beautiful. It's a story, the video itself. That's not me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a palette, and I'm going to be inspired by a guy, Sterling Davis, and I'm going to make a bench. And the beginning of it and the end of it, kind of speed it up, and just, yay, if you got questions, I'll try and tell you how I did it. You know, that's all I can do.
Yeah. And you're right. It's a progression when you first start off. And I know my videos, without a shadow of doubt, has gotten tremendous amount better than what they used to. The first, like I said, the first ones were horrid. But anyway, but yeah, when you see other people out there and the way that they're able to portray in their videos and how they do the stuff that they do, and sometimes I sit there back and I just shake my head. It's like how they're not only telling a story, but how good as woodworkers, makers, so to speak, how good of videographers they are.
Oh yeah, it's like I said, the technology is never going to happen for me. I don't have enough interest in it, but I can at least record it. But why I think, again, this community is so vast and so amazing is you can either learn how to make a bench, you can see somebody make a bench and be funny, or you can see a video of somebody making a bench that almost makes you cry. It's just the video itself is beautiful, and everything in between. And all three of those people that made that different type of video, ask them a question, they will be there to help you and answer it for you. And that's the magic of the maker community for me.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else have anything they want to contribute? They're talking about the guys are a little upset because of the delay, and I know there's a delay, but there's nothing really we can do about it, guys. In other words, from the time we're talking and the time they post a question or answer, there's like about a 15 or 20-second delay. But unfortunately, that's the...
Russ, now, again, I'm not technology, but can't we just sit here quiet for 15 seconds and let them catch up?
We can try that.
It sounds like it would work, but it will not.
We can try that.
I've listened to y'all's podcast. You can't do that, Lutz.
Yeah, sit quiet for 15 seconds? No, it's not possible.
All right, Rob, you've been quiet. You got anything you want to add?
I just want to ask, how come if you're doing this guitar thing with 3 strings, why you're not calling it a banjo?
Well, I don't know how that would be relevant because I'm not quite sure what a banjo is. I know a banjo's round, and Steve Martin's amazing when he plays one.
No, well, at our club, Gwinnett Woodworkers, we had a guy come in a couple of times that makes a banjo. He was making somebody asked him to make the cigar box banjos, and it was for a church, so he didn't want to bring in something to do with smoking, so he makes them out of pans, pie pans, cake pans, and he's got the pan and then puts the wood in the front. And I made a couple from a kit and stuff that, you know, we got the parts together. But they had 3 strings, and his site was something like a Coal Mountain banjo. Mm-hmm. I'm just wondering if 3 strings designated more of a banjo than it did a guitar. That's all.
I don't think so, and I'm really, I couldn't answer this with a lot of clarity, but as I look into it, there's canjos, there's panjos, there's 3-string cigar box guitars, there's 4-string cigar box guitars. People are making 4-string cigar box basses. They're making 6-string guitar box guitars, and this has been going on for hundreds of years. Where Cigar Box Nation, I believe, is the name of the website, but they have plans on there. It's an original instruction how-to from, I think, 1846 or something, how to make a cigar box guitar from that far back. And
yeah, we looked it up one time and saw how far it went back. It shocked all of us.
Oh yeah, it's insane. It's part of American history. People didn't have the money. They were taking, I guess, your screens on your porches back in the day. You could actually pull the wires out of those screens. They were metal wires, and they would use those for the strings. I mean, it's just incredible what you can do. So other than scrap wood and cigar boxes, I'm buying the strings and the tuners and all that stuff to use, but it's still a lot of fun. But I do want to try a banjo. It has a unique sound, or a canjo or a panjo. Yeah, it does have a unique sound.
Yeah, Katie Dotson said there's a bunch of whiners 20 years ago. We couldn't do all this, and she's right. 20 years ago, we wouldn't be doing Hangouts. The technology of computers and the internet wouldn't allow us to stream video like we can do it nowadays. So
why can't you go back and ask their question? Was it something that was already asked? Or?
No. They're just. I guess I'm not quite sure. But some of their lag, or some of them have a little bit more of a delay than others. But I mean, it is kind of a pain. Trust me, I've watched other shows before, and you can tell that there's a lag in there. But it's just one of those things. It's beyond my control. I mean, it has to do with feeding this through the Hangouts through YouTube and getting it out on there. So there's.
The trick would be to turn that to your advantage. So if some of us aren't exactly behaving as much as we should and watching our language, just like on real TV, you can say, "Hey, I have to have a 7-second delay for the beepability."
Yeah, for that beep. Yeah. We were just discussing that earlier. That did not work for Mr. Fulton. Yep, we had Mr. Mike Fulton on here, and he let loose an what do you call it? Expletive. How do you say that?
Expletive.
Expletive. There you go. He let loose an expletive, and I did the beep, but it was too late.
You need to hire more staff, Russ.
Yeah, I need more staff.
He doesn't pay very well.
Oh yeah, remember the Godzilla show? Yeah. They're saying it's I got a lot of laughs on Twitch TV a couple of weeks ago. I was doing it, and and I went back and watched my own video upload, and it was like really bad. I would say something, then 2 seconds later, my lips would move. So, all right, guys, any more questions? Paul, Chris, somebody?
Oh, somebody out in the chat was wondering if he preferred electric or acoustic versions of his instruments.
I don't have a preference, but I have not built an acoustic yet, and that is on the list. I'd really like to. Surprisingly enough, the one I just played, even though I put a pickup in it to make it electric, it sounds amazing without plugging it into an amp. So I'm kind of excited about actually trying to do that on purpose and magnifying that sound without electricity. I think that would be fun if I can actually make one that would work well.
So all the ones you've made, all the ones you have and you were showing are all electric?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jeff from the chat wants to know where they can find parts and and where they can build stuff. What was the website you mentioned about the Cigar Box website? What was that?
It's cigarboxnation.com, I believe, but you can Google it. Is everything cigar box guitars. And the website that I go to, that's actually, first of all, these guys are amazing customer service. I got to figure out how to get a sponsor deal out of these guys. They're awesome. But CB Gitty, CBGITTY, Google that, and it's everything you need. You can buy either a kit where everything you need to make one comes with it, or just the strings, or just the electronics, or just you can buy the neck, fretting wire, whatever it is that you want. cbgiddy.com. They're from the East Coast somewhere, so you'll have to forgive that part of it, but they're super people.
Dan wants to know what or looking about costs when you're starting in this.
Oh, wow. Well, like I said, for me, the cigar box is cheap. I go to a cigarette store. I don't smoke anymore, but they usually have, like, I'll get 3 or 4 cigar boxes for $5, $10. You know, it just depends. So that's cheap enough. You can use any kind of a hardwood for the neck. So that part of it's all free, and I would guess maybe $20 in parts.
Really?
So oh yeah, it's you know, and if not cheaper. I mean, it's if you do just an acoustic or something like that, it probably would be a little bit less. It's not much. A pack of strings and some tuners is all you really need for the equipment.
Now, if you were to order the whole kit, do you have any idea what the kit would be?
I think I looked at it. I haven't really looked at it to buy it, but I would guess maybe $75.
Still,
everything you need. Oh no, it's not. I would suggest anybody that's interested, start watching YouTube videos, because it's addicting. It really is. And especially if you can't play an instrument, if you don't have that ability, I promise you do. And people have told me that my whole life. I'm like, look, I just don't have that kind of a ability, and it's not going to work. And now I'm actually making noise, and it's not horrible. Mostly.
I was sitting over here laughing because somebody just joined in the chat and they said, God, he's a sexy beast.
Yeah, Jerry from Jerry's Machines.
Yeah, Jerry from Jerry's Machines. Jerry, come on, calm down. You need to take a shower, cold shower.
Hey, Jerry, the $20 is in the mail, buddy.
Art Day wants to know, and I'm not sure what he's saying here. He goes, what tuning are the 3-string? Tuing?
Tuning.
What tuning are the 3-string?
So I guess, and again, I'm speaking from no experience whatsoever, but I tune them to an open G tuning. Now, I'm going to say things that I don't really know what I'm saying, but I know the words to say. So I tune them to an open G tuning, which I guess is pretty standard for 3-string guitars, which allows you to start with your first chord is back to the A. So it's progressively A, B, C, D all the way up to the 12th fret and starts over. And again, I'm not sure what I just said, but it's open G tuning is standard for that. And it's tuned G, D, G. So top string, which is the low. This is what's confusing. See, this magical thing about guitars that I never understood before, I'm now getting a clue, because people would say, well, I'm playing the low string, the one on top. The top string is the low string, but the low string's on top. The bass string, so the low tuned string is on top, then middle string, and then the bottom string is a high string, but it's G, D, G. Or G, D, and then the bottom or the top G that's on the bottom of the guitar is 1 octave above. Huh? I have no idea what that means, but I know I said it right.
Well, you sounded good. It
sounded real good, but you confused the heck out of me.
I will nod my head as if I understood you.
Yeah.
I thought we was on Sesame for a second with all the
So open G tuning is the answer to that question.
Open G tuning. Yeah, that sounds familiar. Somebody had told me that before, as far as you can actually tune a 5-string guitar open G too.
Yeah, I think it's. I think you could probably tune anything. All it means by open is without touching it, just strumming the guitar. That note is a G, so that's what they call it, open G, open E, open D. So the first thing you do, strum it. That's your first note. Then when you start playing with the strings on your other hand, you get your other notes.
But you can't tune a fish.
Actually, that's not true.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, think about this. Tim Sway just made a guitar. You think I'm joking. Tim Sway just made a guitar out of a skateboard. I've seen people online making guitars out of just about everything. What if you had a fish and you let it sit in the sun so long it got hard and all petrified up, right? I bet I could stretch some strings across that I see.
That's a video I'll pay to see.
I don't know. I have to disagree because I've heard that you can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish.
That's what Matt just said. I'm positive I could. Ooh.
I like a challenge.
Tuna fish. Ooh, come on.
Well, Lutz, we've talked a lot about the cigar boxes, and I think it's awesome and great. But where is your passion between woodworking, metalworking? Because you got a big hand in both. What's your go-to thing to do?
Whatever I haven't learned yet is. I honestly love them both. I don't consider myself a woodworker. I think I can be. I know that I've done enough amazingly detailed projects in woodworking that if I decided that's where I really wanted to spend my time, I could be, and I could, you know, what's the thing? If I could be half the woodworker that you are, Sterling, I'd be twice the woodworker of most others.
You hadn't saw my videos then.
No, I love all kinds of mediums. You know, I love metalworking. I love woodworking. I love, I don't know. It's just the ability to use your hands to be creative is a lot of fun in any kind of creativity. So
I got my first.
A doer. You go out there and do it. It's not that you see it and respond to it, but you'll go do it. That's what's cool about it. I love that.
I had a first tonight. I got my first spammer in the chat. He was trying to sell telephones.
I was going to delete him, but I didn't know how to do it.
Yeah. I was like, I looked over and I went like, what? He goes, yeah, I got 3 free phones. Come visit me now over at so-and-so and so-and-so. And I'm like, no way. I've never had a spammer.
Well, wait a minute. What kind of phone? Because Apple just came out with that X.
Oh, it wasn't no Apple.
Oh, okay.
So how do you delete them, Russ?
If you right click on them.
Yeah.
Or no, I take that back. If you hover over their comment, you'll see the 3 or 4 dots at the end of the thing.
Yeah.
Over that, click on it, and you've got report, remove, ban user, all that kind of stuff pops up there.
Oh.
I've been watching. I must have missed that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a couple of people that help me moderate, but they're slow. You know, when you get old like that, you get real slow.
Yeah.
Rite of passage there, Russ. Congratulations, you've got your first spammer. That's a good thing.
I know. It's like, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, really? So,
Mr. Hall, you sound like.
Well, you're breaking up, Sterling.
Yeah.
You're like Steve Austin.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying, Mr. Haas, you sound extra sexy tonight. I don't know what it is.
Oh, God, y'all are just too much loving
My
going
goodness.
on tonight. Let me tell you. Bill, so I know you've talked about your wife a few times. How long have you been married now?
We celebrated our 7th year in September.
Oh, okay. The way you talked about it, I thought y'all were newlyweds, but after 7 years, well, I guess you could still be newlyweds after 7 years. So.
After every week that she still puts up with me, I consider myself newly married. So
I know that I feel that same way about my wife. My wife puts up with my crap, and I'm like, wow, I don't know how you do that. My wife's a very good woman, though. She supports me 100% in my woodworking and doing this show. She's always enthusiastic. Like the first thing I come in the house after I get through with the show. Well, unless she's asleep, we stay up sometimes and chat. But is like, how'd your show go? Was it good and all that kind of stuff? And I'm gonna tell her. I told her that I was having this guy by the name of Lutes on, and she says Lutes, and I swear it was funny as crap. She goes, "What the heck is a Lutes?" I said, "Honey, I'm going to find out tonight, and I'll tell you."
Well, I don't know if we're gonna have that answer or not, but I got the same kind of deal, Russ. I got an amazing supporting person in my life, and it's funny because she is so happy that I found this community, because I have never been one to be. I'm a very introverted person. I know that seems hard to believe. I'm not comfortable around people. I always felt like I was just a little bit odd and not quite fit in. Then I found this community, and it's like, oh my goodness, there are so many people like me out there. We're all a bunch of oddballs, and it's like I found my voice. I found my place where I belong, and from somebody like Mark Spagnolo, I always reference, when I think woodworker, I think him, because he's, to me, the ultimate woodworker. Or Matt Cremona, another young man that's amazing, and Kyle Toth, another young man. All these guys, they're the real deal. And there's everybody in between that's so supportive. And then you get to Jimmy DiResta, and it's, what can't he make? Then you get, Jody over at Welding Tips and Tricks, and here's a master metalsmith. You got Rory May, the blacksmith. So the fact that I can say all these people's names and I like them and I conversate with all of you guys, my wife is very happy that I've come out of my shell and I've decided that the human race is worthwhile after all.
Cool.
That's awesome.
You know who Mark Lindsay is, don't you?
I love Mark Lindsay. He's gotten a hug from me.
Yeah, he just joined us. I know he does. He builds the cigar guitars too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's been doing it for a while.
Yeah. Well, he said he was outside working on the CNC and forgot about us. So
he's here now. He gets credit.
Yep.
You know what about all the names that you just named off is, Bill?
What's that?
They know you too, buddy.
Yeah, that blows me away too. Trust me, that blows me away.
I have always been, since I have started the YouTube channel and started this adventure myself, been amazed at how well and how much the woodworker maker community, how strong it is, how strong the bond it is, and it's really nice to know a group. I mean, somebody can be in trouble or need something, and you'll see that they'll join in and try to help out and stuff like that. So it's just a fantastic group to be in. If it wasn't for me being having my YouTube channel and having this show, I would have never met all these guys on the panel have become my friends over the years. I mean, really close friends over the years. So and I would have never met you and got your hug, Bill.
well, let me speak to the helping out thing. Last year, 2016, for me was a rough one. I had some health issues come up, and I was out of work. And I have a local city government job, and I've saved up sick time and vacation time and all this, so I wasn't overly worried about it. But I was out of work for well over 6 weeks. I had kidney removed. And this community that we're talking about, and they all got together. They sent me enough money to keep, because Casey and I, we're not destitute, but she keeps us a month or two ahead, and it was enough to where we didn't fall behind. Because I mean, I lost my income for 6 weeks, and this community came in and pitched in together and kept me. I'm gonna get all choked up in here in a second. Yeah, it is. I mean, 99% of them, I had never met those people, and people are it's a generous community. I've been blessed enough to be able to do the same thing for others who have been in need. People's shops get broken into, somebody's having surgery, somebody's grandson needs some help, whatever the case may be, and we all get together and we do what we can and show the love. So bravo us.
Yeah, it really is awesome. It really is. I mean, like you said, just somebody in need, you'll see everybody pitch in and join together and help out. And I don't know that I've ever been involved in anything better than this,
Right.
We actually endeared a junior college hashtag last year.
Yeah. Well, guys, we're rocking down to the last 5 minutes of the show. We're going to get to his woodshop confession before it's over with, trust me. But any last minute questions from y'all? Al, Chris, Donna just joined us. Hi, Donna.
Hi, Donna.
Hey, finally got to make it home. Long day. I've been down since 6 o'clock this morning.
Wow. What you had your granddaughter or daughter's birthday?
Grandson.
Grandson.
And before that.
Wow. Cool. Yeah, starting at 6 o'clock is all early. Anybody else have any questions or anything in the one up?
Just a quick comment, to the community. If you're ever have a question as to how to act, you should ask yourself, well, what would Lutz do? And then do what Lutz does. Because, I find it hard, Bill, that you say you were once introverted, because in this community, it's anything but. And I've always liked the fact that you'll engage with anyone. Like, it doesn't matter who they are. It's just, you're a people person is the way you come off, and I love it.
Well,
I know he says he's introverted, and I find that very, very hard to believe.
Well, honestly, a big part of that is this community, because people know this. I'm pretty mostly liberal, except when it comes to guns. I don't understand the negativity about that, but we don't need to have that discussion. But whether you're big or small, whether you're man or woman, whether you're liberal, conservative, of faith, of no faith, of weird faith, I don't care if you're a clown for a living, this community has shown me that everybody is good. It just doesn't matter. We're allowed to be a little bit different and to have difference of opinions. And I want to get to know people that aren't like me, because that's how we're going to close this silly gap that's going on in the country right now. Not by, we already know how to be right. I tell people this all the time. If you want to be right, find one other person that agrees with the way you think. Now you're right. Yay. But if you actually want to affect change and you want to make a difference, don't worry about being right, and get to know somebody that's not like you, somebody that maybe votes different than you or goes to a different church, or somebody that has an opinion that's different from yours, and just get to know that person. And maybe you might understand why they think that way. Next thing you know, you have something in common. And the next thing you know, you're treating each other decent. And the next thing you know, you get a hug. How hard is this?
Yeah, if all of us were the same, we'd be a boring life, trust me.
Yeah, we don't want that. But honestly, just reaching out and just get to know people. I've met some of the most amazing people in my life that I know as a younger man, being stubborn. I probably never would have given the time of day, because I just, you can't do that. Somebody said there's a rule somewhere, and I'm telling you there's not. There's no rule. You put that silliness down, and you get to know each other, and we'll make a difference.
Al,
Drink to that.
Yeah, just a real quick question, and it kind of sounds strange as I start asking it, but have you ever made a cigar box guitar from a guitar? In other words, from a guitar that's broken. I mean, yeah, it sounds like, why would you do that?
No, it's actually, it's kind of a neat question. I can say that I have some upcycled guitar parts that I will incorporate into a build coming up.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I'm at a thrift store now, I'm always looking, because I feel like every time I used to go in a thrift store, secondhand store, go to a flea market, there'd be a guitar there for like $2, and I just pass it up. I don't know if it's any good or not. I don't really care, but I pass it up because I have no interest. Now that I'm looking for them, because I can use the neck, I can use the strings, I can use the tuners, I can't find them anywhere. Of course, that's how it is.
I think I've got one out in my garage that got some water on it, is the reason why I'm asking.
Use the parts.
Exactly.
All right, we've got Wooden Stuff. Steve French has been out there. Mark Lindsay, Jim Bashir's, or not Jim Bashir's, Jerry's Machine says, ooh, he's beautiful and he's smart.
All right, that's 40 on this way, Jerry.
All right, Katie Dotson. Trying to see who else is. Brett Goodermote. He's been out there. Like I think I said, Steve French, Katie Dotson. Oh, Desert Bum Woodworking. He's been out there commenting and been in the chat. College View. I think he's new. He said hi. Guys, I appreciate you so very, very much being out there in the chat. You are just as much part of this show as we are, and we love to have your questions. So Bill, it's time for your woodshop confession.
So, Russ, you didn't explain this to me before I agreed to do this show. What are we talking about?
Well, that's one of the things I kind of like hold secret until I get the person on, and there's nothing they can do about it. No, what it is what is the most boneheaded thing that you've ever done in your shop that after you did it, you said, what the heck did I do that for? You know, like Mike,
Wow.
Mike from MF Woodshop boring a hole in his hand with his own drills. I mean, what's something that you've done that, I mean, I'll tell you what I did. A while back, I was I had some glue on 2 boards, and I was going to put some pin nails through it. And, well, I had 1 1/4 inch pin nails, and the 2 boards together was only 3/4 of an inch. So as soon as I fired the first one, yeah, it went right into my hand. So
Yeah.
I was like, what the heck was I thinking? So that's what we're talking about.
Well, I got to be honest. I rarely have gotten hurt. I've been blessed that way, but I do have a story. I've told this before. When I was building a salon for my wife, I had to use as much free and upcycled materials as I could. So I was building a cabinet out of a shipping crate. Now, most shipping crates are plywood with cheap, I don't know how you call it, the square wood on the outsides, and that's where they nail them together. So if you stay away from those, I wanted the plywood out of the shipping crate to build something. And I had a little tiny Craftsman fold-up table saw out in the driveway, and I'm trying to tear the ends off this. So I'm looking for the nails and trying to avoid it, ripping these things up. So I go, at one point, I felt something hit me in the face, and I had my gloves on because, you know, it's plywood and it's just raw material. And I went and I touched my face, and I didn't see any blood. And I went, oh, okay, no big deal. I figured maybe I had a little knot or something. So I finished up. About 20 minutes later, and I'm walking back through the garage, and I have a mirror over the sink in my garage. And as I look, there's a nail sticking out of my cheek. And I'm just excited now because my first thought was, this looks really cool. So I started yelling for my wife to get the camera because I want her to take a picture. But then I'm thinking, well, I'd be able to go look at this closer. So I go in the bathroom. She comes in. She's like, oh my God, are you okay? I'm fine. I'm fine. Take a picture. So I haven't, you know, I got a picture with the nail on my face. But then I'm like, okay, how do I get this out of my face? So I start pulling on it, and my cheeks stretching out and everything. And when I pulled this nail out, I guess because of the blade making that metal so hot when it went in, it cauterized the hole. So when I pulled it out, it actually went, and there was no blood.
Yeah.
And I could actually see a hole in my cheek that went like not through my cheek, but up into my, like the skin part of it. I still have a little beauty mark over here, but
Wow.
Some people actually do that on purpose. They'll pierce themselves and stuff like that. So.
Oh, I know this wasn't on purpose, and you no matter how careful you can be, and I pride myself on that. I've had some pretty serious work injuries, and it's always been to somebody else stupid next to me that it happened. But I'm usually pretty safe and pretty lucky, so I got nothing to complain about. I get people that see some of my videos, and I got to start using the push stick more often because I know the camera angle makes it look like my fingers are right on top of the blade, and it's like, I promise I'm not really going to cut my fingers off, but I do want to set a good example. So,
yeah, I myself, I was born and raised in, like I said, as soon as I could hold a hammer, my father had me out doing carpenter work, and I mean, I've had a few accidents and a few things over the years, but I got all my fingers, got both eyes and both ears, and God has really blessed me.
Amen.
Most of my injuries have all been what I would say minor over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guys, that pretty well, I think, is going to wrap it up. Anybody out there? One last time. I'm looking over to see if there's any more questions out there in the chat.
Katie
guys,
Dotson,
what'd you say?
Sorry, Katie Dotson just said something. Wow, new business, Lutes Piercing Salon in California.
Oh yeah, yeah. I didn't have that happen, but I nailed these 2 fingers together with a 16 common nail. We were on those big guns. When you're doing framing, you can actually set them where they'll do like a semi-automatic. So every time you bounce it, it'll shoot a nail, and that's really good for sheeting. When you're doing that, you ain't got to pull the trigger every time. You just pull the trigger and bounce it. And so I forgot to take it off that automatic mode, and I was shooting some 2x4s stud walls together. And sometimes when you have it on that automatic mode, it'll double fire. Yeah. So I hit the board and had my hand on the board like this, and at the same time I hit it, I released, or let me hold up here. I hit the 2x4 to nail it in with the gun. At the same time, I released my hand and released the gun in the air, and it double fired that quick and went right straight through both of those fingers.
That's actually kind of amazing aim if you think about it.
Trust me, I don't think I could have ever done it again in 1,000 years. My son Cameron was with me. He was probably about, I don't know, 10 or 11 years old. He started freaking out, and then the guy that worked, my partner that worked with me at the time, he was an older gentleman. He was about 10 years older than me. He started freaking out too, and he goes, "Oh, we got to get you to the hospital. Let's call 911." I looked at him and says, "I ain't going nowhere." I reached up and grabbed a hold of that nail and immediately pulled it out.
Oof.
Yeah. Well, the reason being is for you, if you don't know, I was a firefighter paramedic for 30 years. So the nerves hadn't had a chance to really react to, I mean, it hurt, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't that throbbing, hurting pain. So the faster you can get it out, the better off you are, trust me. So anyway, I wrapped it up, and it was no big deal. I went and seen the doctor. The biggest thing they were worried about was the nail hitting the bones and causing a bone infection. Would be very, very nasty if that had happened, but I didn't have that. I was good.
I got one more real quick while you're doing your thing. 100 years ago, 19 years old, doing road construction, and part of the job was to remove some fencing along the side of this one road. It's an old chain link fence, been there for a long time. We tear down all the fabric. We're using a forklift to drive up next to the pole that's cemented into the ground, wrapping a chain around the fork and the pole, and popping those poles up out. All day long, the chain had been breaking and the fork would bounce up. So I'm extremely careful. Of course, I'm the laborer, so my boss is the one on the forklift. So we get to the very last pole, wrap this chain around it. As he goes to pull it up, that chain starts to tighten, and I'm kind of leaning down, looking. I'm going, oh, that fork's going to bounce again. And I'm backing up and I'm backing up. Well, instead of the chain breaking, the pole snapped. And the pressure of it coming up, now the pole came straight out as it went up. If I'd have been standing back an inch more, it wouldn't have hit me, but it just so happened to be perfect, and that hit me right square in the middle of my head. He said I flew back like a cartoon, landed about 15 feet away, was just kind of sitting there with blood pouring everywhere, not knowing where I was. I ended up having 12 stitches that had to be tied individually because the top of the pole was so jagged that it just, it was just, they had to tie each stitch individually to get it done.
Wow. I knew it hit in the head. I knew it.
when I decide to stop playing with all this, I'm going to shave my head and let y'all see I got about 15 scars on my head over the years. That might explain a few things.
We knew there was a head injury somewhere.
I didn't say a word, Bill. You notice they were the ones that was making those comments, not me.
Well, you know how when you're a kid and your dad bounces you on his knee? Well, my dad used to do that too, but it was like underneath the kitchen table when he was doing it. So.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate all you. Thank you, Al. Thank you, Chris, Donna, Rob, Matt, Paul, and Sterling for being on the panel tonight. I really appreciate every one of y'all being here. Thank you very much. And thank all y'all guys out there in the chat. Jim Bashirs, Ken Moon, Mark Lindsay, Paul Granger. He just joined us.
Big hug. Paul, all those guys out there. I love all of you guys. You know that, right?
Yeah, Paul Granger is out there. Trying to see a few. Dan Inglewood has been there. Jim Bashirs. Jerry Blakesley has been out there. Ryan Ballard. Wow, we've had a lot of people out there. We've had over 57 people, I think, at one time.
Yep, that was a high, yep.
Yep, so thank you very much, guys, for y'all all being out there. I appreciate you guys. I really do appreciate you being out there, and you make this thing so much fun, and a lot of your questions. And then a big shout out and thank you to Mr. Lutz. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate you being on.
Thank you for having me. Seriously, this has been a lot of fun. And real quick, Jerry Blakesley, you give Amanda a big hug for me and tell her that Uncle Bill is a baseball bat for the next boyfriend that gives her any lip. Although she doesn't need it because she's tougher than both Jerry and I put together. But
yeah, I got to meet her in Atlanta. She is a tough little girl. She's
amazing.
Mark said it's fun for us too, Russ. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Well, guys, Ken Moon said, see you on Facebook. I'll see you over there. We ain't got but one thing left to do, and y'all know what that is, and that is just give me sawdust, lots of sawdust all around me and everywhere. I like it flying all around my shop and even in my beard and hair. Good night, everybody, and God bless.
Bye, campers.
Good night, y'all.
Remember, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Live long.